I'm so grateful to be here today. And I believe that safety is a human right. I believe that our ability to be safe in our homes, in our environments, in our businesses, in our relationships is something that should be experienced by everyone. But the other thing that I know about this is that it's something that we have to be conscious of, we need to work on. It's not just something that's going to happen. So what I want to do over the next 30 minutes is I want to share with you some specific strategies for how you can be safe out in the world, how you can look at things maybe a little bit differently than you did before. And so that you can walk out of here with some of these strategies to make sure that you can be smart and be safe in the world. Now, I know it's a little bit tight space here, and I know we just had lunch, but I'm going to get you moving around a little bit too. Is that all right? Sure. Okay, excellent, excellent. So now, you know, I'm a professional speaker, but what's so neat is sometimes things don't work out. So my clicker didn't work today. So here's my clicker right there. So let's give her a hand. All right, so I know that we just discussed this at our tables. We talked about what we do to create safety in our life. And we had some amazing people express what they wanted to hear, talking about how they showed up, their presence in the world, making eye contact. Is there anybody else that cared to share? What was shared here at your table, Kath? What did some people say about what they do to keep themselves safe?
So one of the things is we use the Find My Phone, like we always have that on so that other people can find us.
Brilliant.
And then there was, when we go on dates, we meet them there and not get in the car unless you're driving.
Okay.
Then you can leave them if you
Very good, very good. How about this table over here? What's one or two things that you came up with about how you stay safe?
I said check your back seat before you get in the
Okay,
car.
love that. Exactly. Very good one. Anyone else?
I carry my key when I go to the car because it has the alarm.
The alarm on it. Beautiful. And how about the best table here in the room? Who can share with some of the things we came up with?
Be aware.
Be aware. Yeah. Very good.
If you feel you're being stalked or you hear something behind you, turn around, address the person, look them square in the eye, and posture yourself.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. So I have a question for you now. We're almost all women in this group, so I'm going to ask the ladies this question. In the last week, have you been in a situation where you felt physically unsafe? If so, raise your hand. Okay, in the last week. Okay, very good. How about the last month? Last month, very good. How about the last year? Okay, now take a look at the room. Now, generally speaking, when I do self-defense seminars, we ask this very same question, and then we ask the men, when was the last time you felt unsafe?
Maybe not that recently.
Yeah, maybe not that recently. Usually, it's the kegger that went bad in college. That's usually when they felt unsafe, right? So what's so interesting about that is there's some real reason for us to be aware of this. But one thing I want to really point out is I'm not going to be sharing with you this information so that you walk around scared. Because one of the things that you're going to find is if that's your way of being, that's what you're going to attract. It's about being aware of what's going on. And like they say, I think it's an Arabic saying, it says, trust in God, but tie up your camel, right? So be aware of what's going on there. Now, but I am going to share with you some, in fact, you're supposed to be doing that, right? So click that one, please. Let's see how this works out, please. Yeah, there you go, there you go. So my clicker wasn't working, I have one too. Wasn't working. So anyway, here's the first thing is that 1 in 4, these are FBI statistics, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men will be sexually assaulted at some time in their life. Now I've heard stats that actually bring that closer to 1 in 3 and 1 in 6. The other thing is get this, 80% of women who are attacked by men that they know. Let me say that again. 80% of women who are attacked by men that they know. Now, let me put this into perspective. You may not know them incredibly well, but you've seen them around. They've been in your world. They've been in your periphery, okay? Then the next is that 80% of physical assault will generally begin with verbal provocation or intimidation. So it doesn't mean that the boogeyman doesn't jump out of the bushes that you don't know and just attack, but generally speaking, it'll be someone that you know, and it'll be someone that will start engaging with you verbally. And what they're doing at that point in time, we call the profile. They're asking you questions. They're seeing if they can get you off balance, and then they're looking to use their voice in a way to either intimidate you or get you off balance so that they can strike. Okay, so think about that. So if you are aware of your surroundings and you're able to use your voice powerfully, much of the situations you may find yourself in are going to be taken care of. The other thing is this, is that Attackers oftentimes will profile their victims. They will profile their victims. So what they'll be doing is they'll be watching habits. It may be someone in your vicinity that's watching what happens when you leave work, when you come to work, what you're doing. They are profiling victims. And then finally, man-on-man crime tends to be different than man-on-woman crime. So man-on-man crime oftentimes tends to be what we would call territorial. You're looking at my wife. You cut me off in traffic. And many times it's difficult for men because we don't know if we need to fight or we need to de-escalate. Many times what will happen though on man-on-woman crime is we'll call it predatorial. So what they're doing is they're preying upon someone. And I want you to, if you hear anything that I say, I want you to hear this. If we are able to arm ourselves in such a way where we're able to present ourselves powerfully and avoid any of the stuff I'm even going to have to say to you, most predators are not looking for a fight, they're looking for a victim. Let me say that again. They're not looking for a fight, they're looking for a victim. So if you are presenting yourself powerfully and assertively, and if they approach you and you present yourself in that way, what will often happen is they will not try to change their strategy. They will abort mission and look for the next person. Okay? So how do we do this practically? Well, what I want to share with you is what I call the ABCs of self-defense. And the first one, A, stands for awareness. So awareness not only, there you go, see, we're team, we're making it happen, right? So it's awareness of not only your outer environment, but also how you're presenting in that environment and also what your intuition is telling you. So that's what we're going to talk about. Next, B stands for boundaries. Now, of course, boundaries are physical boundaries, and we'll talk about that, but we also have emotional boundaries. We have internet boundaries and informational boundaries. What are you putting out into the world? And then also your verbal boundaries. And then finally, once you have all the pasta you can eat, we're going to do combatives. So I'm going to teach you a little self-defense sequence here that you can take out with you. Sounds good?
Great.
All right, excellent. So let's talk about this idea of awareness. Awareness. I think you would agree that we live in a very distracted society. Can you relate to this guy? Yeah, totally, right?
I see it every day.
You see it every day, don't you? I was just traveling. I just got back from Chicago, and I was in the airport, and I'm watching everyone. And then this morning, I woke up, I was opening up my shades. One of my neighbors was walking her dog with her cell phone like this,
Yes.
right?
I see it.
We're not aware. And you know what's so interesting is these cell phones that we have, because we all have them, right? These cell phones are some of the most powerful things we've ever had in our life. In fact, this has more computer power in it than the lunar module that landed on the moon in 1969. Do you know that?
Yes.
And you know what we use it for? Arguing with strangers and watching cat videos, right? Is that what we use it for? Yeah. But the idea there is that there is this distraction going on. But I want you to understand this point, if you could advance that, Kathy, is that 100% of the attacks that occur are going to be a surprise to you.
Yes.
I don't think that you walked into Maggiano's this morning and going, okay, where is he? I'm ready, right? We didn't do that. So when people are attacking, it comes as a surprise, which means we have to be present. The more present we are, the more our ability to be able to deal with that situation is, okay? So being present to that and also making sure that the distractions that we have, not only with our phone, but conversations, paperwork, we're all business people here. We've got a lot going on. I don't know about you, but I've had several instances where I've left a meeting, I've driven home 30, 40 minutes, I went up my driveway, and I had no idea how I got home. Anyone ever had that situation? So we're constantly distracting ourselves with what's going on. And really, the best part of self-defense is about being present, is about scanning your environment, knowing what's going on, being there, and then, of course, being present. Now, of course, that's common sense, right? That's common sense. But the other thing I want you to think about is how are you presenting out in the world? You know, Amr, we were talking about the power of presence, right? And she said she's a tall woman and oftentimes she's not harassed because she has a very strong physical presence. Well, interestingly enough, predators know this too. And the organization that I work with several years ago went to 2 federal prisons and they interviewed sex offenders. Okay, convicted sex offenders. And what they did in these 2 separate prisons is they showed them photographs and video of a multitude of people. And with a 97% accuracy rate, those 2 groups of sex offenders identified the same people that they would attack.
Wow.
Wow. And what was it? What was it? It had nothing to do with provocative clothing or high heels or long hair. It was that people wouldn't make eye contact. They walked with their shoulders in. They kept themselves small. And they walked in small steps. Those were the people. And if you think about it, the same thing happens in the wild, right? When the bobcat is hungry for lunch, he's not going to go after the big majestic buck. He's going to look for that little rabbit that's limping. Because again, they don't want a fight, they want a victim. Okay? So my question for you is, how are you presenting yourself out in the world? Are you making eye contact? Now, when I say eye contact, I was sharing this with the table before. What we, in my self-defense courses, what we recommend is you make eye contact just long enough that you could identify them in a lineup. You know? For guys, we need to be careful that we're not doing this, right? And women, you're like, hey, baby, you don't want to be doing that either. You want to be to a point where you can, boop, I see them, boom, and then I'm ready to move on. Okay? And then the final thing, and I think is probably the most important about awareness, is be aware of what is going on inside of you and the messages you're getting. How many of you had a situation where you met someone that made you feel a little funny, or you went into a place that made you feel off, and you just felt you shouldn't be there, but you stayed anyway and it didn't turn out well? Was it just me? Yeah, it's all of us, right? You know, one of the ways this really came present for me was years ago. I was teaching one of my self-defense classes, and in it was a friend of mine that I'd literally known since grade school. Grade school and high school, we graduated together. And I'm talking about this awareness thing, and she raises her hand. She says, can I tell you a story? I said, sure. She says, you know, this was back in college. I had this guy I had a total crush on. Man, he was gorgeous, and I was so excited. And finally, he asked me out. And we met at a bar, and we were talking. And during the course of the conversation, he kept saying things that were making me feel uncomfortable. But of course, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be a bitch. Thank you very much, right? So the evening goes on, and he's doing his thing, and finally he leans over to me and he goes, you know, let's get out of here. I got a buddy of mine, he's got a party across town. Everything inside of her is saying, don't get in that car, don't get in that car. But of course she went because she didn't want to be a... Exactly. So she gets in the car, and they're starting to drive, and all of a sudden she realizes he told her that the party was on the east side of town, and they're driving west. And now all of a sudden they get out of town, it's dark, they go down this dirt road, he goes to this wooded area and he rapes her. And she said there were 5 or 6 instances during that whole evening that she knew she shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But she didn't make the choice. And so I just want to leave with you this, is listen to your intuition. It's there for a safety reason. And even if you feel you might embarrass someone or you might make them feel uncomfortable, I'll tell you, I'll speak this from a man's standpoint. If I'm making someone feel uncomfortable enough that they don't want to be around, and I've done that, I'm going to feel really bad about that. And any guy that's worth it is going to apologize if they made you feel that way versus be affronted. Just my personal opinion. Okay? So, and teach that to your kids as well. Teach that to your kids as well. All right, so that's about awareness. Let's talk about boundaries. You know, we could probably have a whole talk on boundaries, right? We hear about boundaries all the time. We hear about boundaries all the time. But one of the things that's so important about boundaries, it's one of the ways that we can use not only our self-defense skills, but use them and translate them into everyday life. Because we all have opportunities, right, to deal with boundaries. But I want to talk about it in 4 specific ways. So the first one is physical boundaries. Physical boundaries. Now, could I use you for a second?
Sure.
Come on, stand up for a second.
Melissa will
All
do anything
right.
twice.
There you go. There you go. Now,
Exactly.
very good, very good.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not going to hit you or anything hard. Okay, good. All right. So here's what I want you to do. Listen, I want you to stand with your right foot back, and I want you to just bring your hands up like this, just like this. Good. Now, what she's demonstrating here is what we call our self-defense stance. Now, what I'm not advocating is that you're walking down the street like this, right? It's not what I'm saying. But we always tell our clients is when you're out and about, you are in what's called yellow alert. You can
Yeah.
relax just for a minute.
Okay.
So you're looking at your environment. Orange alert is when you see some potential danger. Red alert, that's when the hands come up, all right? So show this for us right here, man. Very good. Now, here's what I want you to understand about physical boundaries, is distance is your friend.
Yes.
Distance is your friend. So if Melissa and I are here engaging, what she wants to do, why don't you back up just a little bit there. What she wants to do is she wants to always make sure that I am at least 2 of my steps away from her. See this?
Good
This
idea.
is 1, 2.
Mhm.
If she allows me, bring your hands up please, if she allows me to be this close, it takes me 1 step to engage. So one of the things that you want to always do is maintain your distancing. Now, sometimes you may not have the ability to back up, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But ideally, if you're in a situation, is to create the distance, and if you have an escape route, what I want you to promise me you'll do is you will exercise the most powerful martial art on the planet. You know what that is?
Run.
It's called Run Fu. Yes, it's called Run Fu. So get out of Dodge, get out of the. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Give her a hand. Good job. So distancing. All right. So we have physical boundaries. Then we also have emotional boundaries. Now we're not going to go into great detail here, but I think you'll probably agree with me that bullying didn't stop in school.
No.
We encounter bullies in our lives all the time, professionally, in relations, et cetera, et cetera. And I want you to just think about this. I want you to make a decision inside of yourself right now that you are worth enough that you will not be bullied. I just want you to make that decision because it may not be easy and you may have to convince yourself over and over and over again, but pretty soon you're going to have that type of confidence. And the people that take our courses, what they come back and tell us is, you know that guy that used to bother me at work? I looked at him and I said, this is not appropriate. And he doesn't bother me anymore. And it's because they had the confidence that came from that. Okay? Next is digital boundaries. Now, almost all of you are entrepreneurs here, correct? Which one of the things, and I'm an entrepreneur as well, is we love to be out in the public, right? That's how we build our business, right? You know, we post on social media, we hand out our flyers, we're very, very much out and about, and that's great. But when you do that, what I want you to keep in mind is that you're very discerning of the information that you're putting out there, okay? You're very discerning of the information you're putting out there. So make sure that the phone numbers that you're using, the email addresses, the business addresses, they're professional, okay? Make sure that you're not giving home information. Some of us love to say, post on Facebook, hey, this is where I am, come join me, right? Has anyone ever done that?
No.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And it's one of those things we need to be conscious of.
And that's
And
when your house gets robbed.
Well, right, the people that say, I'm loving vacation down here in Puerto Vallarta. I'll be back in 10 days, right?
Right.
Yeah, oh wow, that's interesting.
Here's your sign.
Right, so could you advance the couple there, Kathy? Very good, let's go to the third one right away. So making sure that you're not presenting your personal information and also making sure that you understand that many predators are actually, they're staking out and they are fishing. They are looking for their marks. Right? They're not just doing it. They don't just have an impulse one day, hey, I think I'll attack someone. They are oftentimes planning this in advance. Now, we're at a disadvantage because we generally don't walk around thinking about how we're going to protect ourselves, right? It's a surprise to us, but understand that's what you're dealing with. So make sure that you're protecting yourself from that perspective. And then the final one, which I think is the most important. So we had physical, emotional, and digital. It's verbal. It's verbal. Remember what I said before is that 80% of women who are attacked by men that they know, and 80% of confrontations start with verbal intimidation. Well, if we can understand how to powerfully use our voices, then oftentimes we can dissuade or we can eliminate the attack before it ever happens. So this is your first lesson. Are you ready? Need you to stand up for me. Stand up for me. We deal with what's called the adrenal response. Now, the adrenal response is that nervousness that you get when you're excited, et cetera. And it's actually a very positive emotion because it was literally designed to empower us. But if we don't know how to deal with the adrenal emotion, what it oftentimes does is, you've heard of fight and flight? Well, we go to freeze. Okay, because it's so uncomfortable and we don't know how to deal with the brain. So one of the ways of getting through this is learning to use our voices powerfully. So I want you to take that self-defense stance that we had listed, and let's have everyone face me, and fingers are out like this. Now, if you're dealing with someone and you're kind of back like this, you're showing passivity, right? And if you're here, you're probably showing aggression. What we want you to be is assertive. It's like, I don't want trouble, but if I need to engage, I can take care of myself, all right? Now, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to say a phrase, and what you're going to do is say that phrase right back to me. And what we're going to do is we're going to progressively escalate the volume. The folks are going to love us at Maggiano's, okay? All right, so here we go. So repeat after me, say, I don't know you.
I don't know you.
You're too close.
You're too close.
Back away.
Back away.
Call 911.
Call 911.
Back off.
Back off.
Back off.
Back off.
Back off.
Back
Give yourself some energy. Good job. All right. Good. Have a seat. Have a seat.